You're live.
We're live.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. So the theme for this live was Cruel Summer.
Bananarama.
And the poll options you gave were Point Break, Steel Magnolias, Deliverance, and My Girl.
Well, I gave you a lot more options. These are what you chose out of the list I gave you.
So these are your options.
Yes, but I would have preferred.
I didn't select any of the movies on the list.
I would have preferred The Beach, the Danny Boyle film, or Francois Ozon's Swimming Pool to be on the list. But you were going for an equivalent stature.
There were 2,100 votes, and they were kind of split. Point Break won. Second was Deliverance.
That's what I voted for.
With Steel Magnolias third and My Girl fourth. I would have voted for My Girl. I thought for sure Deliverance was going to win.
I gave you a list of films I haven't seen in a long time also. So I would have been happy to watch any. I would have been least interested in My Girl.
Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Point Break is a 1991 film directed by
Kathryn Bigelow.
Yep. What is it about? FBI agent Johnny Utah infiltrates a group of surfers suspected of being bank robbers. He bonds with their leader, Bodhi, whose thrill-seeking lifestyle challenges Utah's values, leading to a gripping clash of loyalty and duty. I don't think I had ever seen this movie.
Okay.
I know I watched the remake.
The 2015 remake by Erickson Core with Luke Bracey and Edgar Ramirez.
I recall one line of dialogue from this film, and I don't know if I walked in a room where someone was watching it, or maybe someone said it to me. I don't know, but I definitely don't remember this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It drove me crazy. I was screaming at the screen.
I remember because I was in first grade when it came out. July of 1991, this came out. But I remember my father thought it was really dumb. So the film was made fun of a lot in my household. But I probably didn't watch it until I was a teenager on TNT or TBS or something. Do you remember that line that has stuck with you?
Young, dumb, and full of cum.
Spoken by FBI director Ben Harp, played by John C. McGinley.
Yeah, I thought this movie was so dumb.
When he says that line to Keanu Reeves too, it's like,
I'm going straight to HR because I can't work under these conditions.
Where's the HR department?
Oh, there's so much to talk about. So Keanu Reeves plays Johnny Utah, a 25-year-old who is a law school graduate and has recently graduated from the FBI. So he's just left Quantico to go to LA. And he's been assigned to work like the bank robbery unit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're told that there is one group in particular of bank robbers who've robbed like dozens of banks and have not been caught. And they're known for wearing masks of ex-presidents.
They're seasonal workers.
So that's what we're dealing with. Johnny Utah is paired with Gary Busey.
Mm-hmm. Angelo Pappas, which suggests that this role was intended for someone not white, at least not Gary Busey, is Pappas.
Oh, well,
that reminds me of Irene Pappas, which is a Greek surname. So I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. So the main issue is that these bank robbers, these ex-presidents, no one really has a theory. They are getting in and out quickly, so they're hard to catch, which is kind of crazy to me that this group is not like priority number one. But we find out very early on that Gary Busey has this weird theory that they're probably surfers.
And his colleagues are laughing at him, even though...
Well, we can get back to it. But his partner, Johnny Utah, is like, well, let's try to crack this case. It's so... The main part of the first half of the movie is Keanu is going undercover as a surfer to try to get some deets. And immediately he taps Lori Petty to be his surfing instructor because his character has never surfed before.
Mm-hmm. And her name is Tyler.
And so immediately Keanu gets linked up with Patrick Swayze's character Bodhi and his little ragtag crew. And they, I guess, become best of friends. I don't understand their connection, which we can get back to. But I would say a big turning point in the story is that there's another group of surfers who Johnny Utah decides to raid because he thinks that they might be the ones responsible. And that raid goes poorly. Several people get killed. And we find out that those are not the bank robbers. And that's when Keanu believes, and we have to get to how he comes to this conclusion, but he believes, oh, OMG, it's Bodhi and his crew. And then there's a pretty cool sequence where Keanu witnesses them robbing a bank, and there's a big chase. And it's very obvious that Patrick Swayze recognizes Johnny Utah, and certainly Johnny Utah knows that it is Bodhi, but they don't really acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end of the movie is that Patrick Swayze shows up at Keanu Reeves' apartment talking about, let's go on an adventure. And they go skydiving. And of course you think this man is going to kill him, but he doesn't. They actually just go skydiving, which out of context is this movie looks great and we'll get to it, but like out of context, it's a great scene. But in context, it's like, I don't know why he got in that plane.
There's so much that doesn't make sense, especially because Utah's superior should realize that his cover is blown and maybe we should be monitoring.
We need to get back to that because I do not understand how this is working. But in the end, Patrick Swayze's plan is to basically strong arm Keanu Reeves to not tell on him by holding Lori Petty hostage. And he says, if you don't let me go free, I'm going to have my people kill her. So Keanu Reeves gets away. And then we flash forward a little bit. I don't know how long. Keanu's hair is longer. And we find out that this man has been traveling the world looking for Patrick Swayze. And he finds him in what I'm assuming is Australia, maybe?
I thought they were in Mexico. I'm not sure.
And he catches him.
Oh, no, you're right. Australia.
We have to get back to the ending, but he decides to let him go. Keanu Reeves lets Patrick Swayze go so he can ride like one final wave.
Well, it's not just any wave. It's the wave of the 50-year storm.
I don't care if it was the 200-year storm. I don't understand why he let him go, but he lets him go. And that's the end of the film, is that Patrick Swayze's riding this killer wave and Keanu throws his badge in the water, which I thought was funny because I felt like based on his actions, they should take his badge away.
Well, yeah. And also, I'm sure somebody's going to have to do some paperwork about a missing badge. So careless.
Oh, there's so much. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just going to go through my little notes. The original title of the movie
was supposed to be Johnny Utah, I believe. And then producers wisely decided that had nothing to do with surfing. So then they tried Riders on the Storm, which is from the song by The Doors, which that didn't quite fit. And finally came to a surfing-related terminology as the title.
Well, I'm so glad they didn't call it Johnny Utah because the titular character would have been even more embarrassing. Because I think while Keanu Reeves is a very likable actor to me, he is so flat in this movie.
Undirectable, I guess, because many people have directed him and just can't seem to.
But you made a good point. This was probably early enough in his career that people didn't realize like he only has one setting.
Well, yeah, because we have the Bill and Ted, and I remember I Love You to Death. So he's playing like doofy, dumb teenagers essentially. So I guess they didn't know he hadn't grown any further.
I guess he fits the bill to a degree. I mean, he's very good looking and young, but I don't understand the Johnny Utah character. Like, we don't fully understand how devoted he is to law enforcement. Like, we get no background on him except he played college football and was then injured, so he couldn't pursue a professional career. So I guess I'll just be a lawyer and I guess I'll just go to the FBI. We have no background on what this means to him. So then I expected this movie to be about like the morality that this character is facing, like whether he should honor or stay devoted to his friend or do what's right by the law. But that's not really what's happening, because clearly Patrick Swayze is on some bullshit and what he's doing is illegal. And his character is not doing anything altruistic.
Oh, no, they're just paying for a constant vacation.
They're just paying so they don't have to work and they can surf. It's not like Robin Hood, which I wish it would have been, because as the audience, it's very clear to me that their asses need to go to jail.
Well, yeah, although Bodhi detests violence, I guess there is that, he does have that going for him. But I don't know that there is any morality to Johnny Utah.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like who is he as a person?
Well, because I think that's why there are so many other theories about the sexual attraction between the male leads that exist, because he's such a blank slate. So it leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
As I was looking up this film, there were a lot of comments about the homoerotic undertones. I don't see it. Beyond just like men, like watching men play sports,
admiring one another,
and like men admire, like Patrick Swayze's character Bodhi is the alpha, and so it's always kind of strange to, I guess, a gay man like me, how straight men will worship other men and
follow them around.
Yeah, so I mean that seems a little gay to me, but beyond that, I don't see the connection between these two characters.
I think Swayze has that kind of energy about him that might be ambiguous sometimes, and I think his performance arguably leads into it. He invites this handsome younger man into the fold without knowing him very well, even though he should probably know better, isn't testing his motives. They're doing something that they're involved in highly illegal activities. They're notorious. They're notorious bandits, right? And he's just like, yeah, just come on to this party and have sex with this woman that used to be mine. And I think there was the potential, and I don't know that this screenwriter was up to par, but there's the potential to make this much more interesting than it is. Like Lori Petty is this woman that we think both men are competing for, but what if we changed the triangulation a bit and shifted it to where Lori Petty and Patrick Swayze are vying for the attention of Keanu Reeves?
I mean, sure, but that doesn't make sense for 1991. Like, they're not going to do that. So it's like, I think what would have made more sense is that they have like a brotherly, like a strong connect. Like, we don't get. Did you feel like you got any sense of how these two men grew close enough that?
Well, they
would go through all this.
They're addicted to thrills and risk taking. That's, I guess, a commonality between them, but I don't get it, like why they need to do it together.
I mean, they don't even really hang out. They just surf.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get one scene with them where they're all like hanging out, being raggedy after they play football? And there's like a bonfire.
Mm-hmm.
Is there another scene where they're all just hanging out?
And I'm wondering, like, did they allow that in Malibu still? Is that still going on where people can just do that on the beach?
I really thought we were going to get, like, the main plot point is that these two guys grow close and there's some ambiguity in whether or not the law enforcement agent thinks that what his buddy's doing is actually wrong.
Mm-hmm. And also, is his partner Gary Busey also pulling him in the direction of, the law? Is he influencing him at all? And because really Keanu is stuck between those two older men.
I'm all over the place. Keanu wasn't a surfer at first, apparently. So he had to work with surfers to learn the months prior before shooting. But do we even really see him surfing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see him try and he fails, and that's when Lori Petty yells at him, and then we see her teaching him. But he doesn't, it's not like I'm referencing Cliffhanger again, but it's not like Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger where it's like, wow, he really,
or Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's like we do see Keanu in the water a little bit, but
apparently Patrick Swayze was an avid skydiver.
Yeah, apparently he did most of those, like what we see him because the end is the skydive. That is Patrick Swayze. Okay, the casting. Lori Petty, we can start with her because she's very much not the like Malibu, California beach type lady. She's like the opposite.
Mm.
And, clearly they chose her, I guess, for that reason. I don't know why they would do that.
What is Paul Schrader's quote about casting? Like if you don't cast correctly, you're ruined. And it feels like all the principal characters in this feel like they were cut from a different film and then sewed in here. Despite Lori Petty having the same kind of haircut as Keanu Reeves, which is jarring.
What's the point of casting a woman who feels too edgy, or not too edgy, but too edgy for this character? Because that character doesn't really do anything. She's just there. She's the connection between initially Johnny Utah and what is his name? Bodhi.
She's their shared ground of intimate desire.
Also, California blonde is a thing because even like people my skin tone with my hair end up with light hair who are like surfers, right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Because they're always in the sun and the sand. Why does this lady have such dark hair? And she's at the beach every day. This heifer works at the damn hot dog stand at the beach. Or what was she selling? Shrimp and rice or whatever. It doesn't make any sense that her hair is so dark. She just doesn't make sense.
No, not at all.
Then I hated the FBI director.
Mm-hmm. McGinley.
Mm-hmm. The minute we meet, every scene with him, he's just screaming.
Well, he's almost out of a slapstick comedy. He's dialed to 11 in every scene.
In fact, strangely, I thought the only character that really there are two characters made sense to me. I think Gary Busey actually works quite well in the role, and I feel like he should have been more utilized.
I agree with Gary Busey, except for, of course, the character name doesn't fit Gary Busey. But...
And then Patrick Swayze is this surfer alpha guru guy. He does work well. Okay, so when Keanu Reeves first gets to LA and goes into the FBI office, the two different characters call him a blue flamer. Had you heard that before?
No.
I had to look it up. It basically means someone who's overly ambitious or does things by the book. So It's like, okay.
I don't know that he even fits that though. Like
what indication?
He's just a rookie.
Yeah, he performed well, but also I was also confused. Like, is it LAPD he's working with, or because that office was huge? Mm-hmm. There were a ton of people in there. Those all can't be FBI. Because if they were, they wouldn't mock him for having done well in the academy.
FBI does have to work with local law enforcement. But yes, they do handle bank robberies.
I just thought that was weird. Like if it's all FBI, then I think they would respect people who perform well in the academy, wouldn't you? Like doctors don't mock other doctors who got good test scores. I don't know.
They do if they're jealous.
Well, but then if it's LAPD that he's working with, how would they even know? Like they're not even familiar. I feel like that would be like a pharmacist mocking a doctor's program. Like they're not the same. Like, what are y'all talking about? I don't know. I just thought all of that was weird. Okay, so then the theory of the bank robbers being surfers. So there were two other, I guess they're FBI agents who we meet immediately, and they're just mocking Gary Busey, which felt so exaggerated.
Yes.
And that's when we see footage of the bank robbery, and we see one of the robbers pull his pants down. So we see his ass, and then he wrote "thank you" on it. So I guess that's his trademark.
But he's got a tan line.
And that's how, okay, when everyone's mocking Gary Busey for having this stupid theory, I'm like, oh, it's going to be ridiculous.
It's not even that stupid. It's just thin. It's maybe a reach.
I didn't think it was that thin when he explained it. Like
that you should follow. You've been trying to get these guys for how long, through how many bank robberies? Why aren't we exploring every possible avenue? Isn't that what you're paid for?
But he talks about the schedule of when they rob. It's like only in the summer. they're in and out. They're not trying to get a big bag. Then he talks about the like the tan line and all
the sands
and the composition of the sand, and like I thought it all made sense.
That all made sense, but then they sully it by making it stupid because they have one strand of hair from one of the bank robberies, and it's got these toxins in it that suggest it was from polluted water on a beach. They're like, if we find, and surfers are territorial, so if we find other people that have similar chemicals in their hair, we know where to pinpoint them.
See, I think that could have worked had you had better writing and a better actor delivering those lines. Yes. But listening to Keanu Reeves say any bit of this dialogue is, I mean, it's just laughable.
And Kathryn Bigelow, this is not, but there are several other films that I think that are far superior in her filmography, such as Strange Days or Blue Steel right before this. But I think she often is described as a woman who directs like a man. She used to be married to James Cameron, who executive produced this, and this very much feels in the spectrum of the kind of macho performances we'd see in action films. So I think it was on purpose that she's allowing Keanu to do this. I have to believe, because I just can't believe that she sat there on set being like, yeah, that was a good line reading.
Wow. Okay. Even before we hear Gary's theory, they go to check out the abandoned car of the robbers. And it looks like they're on like Mulholland Drive somewhere. And Keanu's being very thorough with, checking the car and asking questions. And Gary's like, why bother? Like, we're not going to catch him. And then we get this scene where Keanu is screaming at Gary Busey, trying to give him a pep talk.
To make him feel alive again?
That was terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was terrible. Okay, can you think of a movie where surfers aren't depicted as assholes?
I've never seen Big Wednesday or Blue Crush, to be fair.
Every movie I've seen, it's like they're uber territorial and violent. If I were a surfer, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, so after Gary explains his surfer theory, then Keanu's like, well, let's do it. And Gary's like, well, it's going to be you who has to go undercover because no one's going to believe me as a surfer. So what do these two people do? These two FBI agents wearing their full-on suits, they go to the damn beach to a surf shop to get him supplies. And then they're walking around the pier with his surfboard. I mean, is that how undercover work is done? That you just like very openly just...
I would say no, but I feel like there are several. Also, having Keanu involved as backup on the bus of the first group of surfers that we see them.
That doesn't seem to make sense.
That is, yes, you need to keep your undercover people undercover, which means they shouldn't be anywhere nearby where they can be photographed or.
Well, especially, so he's giving his real name out. He tells Lori Petty his real name and that he's a lawyer. So it's like, great. So you told all your business. Then when he plays football with Bodhi and his crew, they recognize him. Oh, you're Johnny Utah who played for Ohio or something. You were going to go pro. So it's like, okay, how is the agency not taking over and saying, listen,
well, the stakes are heightened for sure because they know his real identity.
I mean, granted, I'm sure Johnny Utah didn't go back and tell his asshole boss, like, they know who I am. But also it's like, that's why I'm confused. Like, is he a good agent? Like, there's no indication beyond that he's a good shooter, that he's a upstanding agent. Like, right?
No. He's like, I'm doing all this surfing on my free time.
Then speaking of the surfing, we get zero background about Gary Busey, except that he's worked in the department for decades. Mm-hmm. But I was assuming that we would learn that his character used to surf or something. I mean, when he explains the wax on the board, it's clear that he knows nothing about surfing, but
he shows us that sex wax, which I'm assuming is to give this an extra element of titillation in about what these men are into, but sex wax.
Well, I'm assuming that is actually the wax they use. I don't know, but I expected for him to be able to put those little pieces together to come up with this hypothesis that maybe he had a familiarity with
Yes.
surfing, but apparently he doesn't. Okay, the group of surfers who Keanu raids, and then we find out that they're not the bank robbers, they have the strangest names. There was one named Archbold, another one named Bunker, and then there's one named Warchild,
Which is a nickname.
which is a nickname, and his real name is Lupton Pittman.
And Patrick Swayze is kind of laughing as
He also calls them Nazis, and it's like these men.
they just look like arms dealers that are running drugs. And you get the undercover agent assigned to them is a young Tom Sizemore, who ironically has a bag of drugs in his hand, which, as we would come to find, he had quite his own problem. And rest in peace.
Well, one of those surfers is Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yes, you were.
Who I thought,
thrilled.
well, because I recognize him, but I didn't think his performance was very good.
No.
Okay, Patrick Swayze's character Lil Boozy, Bodhi, his demeanor is very like calm and like surfing is about how we should surfing mimics how we should approach life and almost like a guru.
Well, hence his name too, right?
But then his little acolytes are so raggedy, like they don't match his demeanor.
You compared them to the hyenas in The Lion King.
Yeah, why are they acting so savage when their leader is not like that at all?
Such as Rosie, played by Lee Tergesen, who you might recognize from Oz, I believe. Rosie does all the violent work, handiwork.
That's right. So then we get
and a young James LeGros.
Oh yeah. So we get the scene, the first moment where Keanu and Lori Petty connect, and they end up spending the night on the beach, and presumably they had sex.
He's late for work.
Late for work.
One of the best shots of the film, though, is with both of them lying in bed together. I thought that
there are a lot of really great. Well, we'll get back to it, but yeah, it's a very well put together movie. But he wakes up and he's panicked because he's late. What is he late for? His own damn raid. So they're supposed to raid the house of the surfers who Keanu has hypothesized are the bank robbers. I actually thought that scene was pretty good. Like, it's action-packed.
It is. Those people are raggedy, and you know it smells in that house. And the way that they were driving, I wanted to light that house on fire the way those people were acting.
So when the law enforcement raid this house, there's a woman in the shower, a naked woman, and that lady can fight. She beats up and stabs several people.
She was also taking a long shower.
She was. But I think the funniest scene is one of the surfers is fighting Keanu, and there's this man mowing his lawn, and they are fighting over the lawnmower, and the bad guy is trying to push Keanu's face into the blades of the lawnmower.
That's Warchild.
And I thought the funniest part of that is that man who was mowing his lawn is just standing there.
He's like, I'm not going to turn that lawnmower off and watch this man.
He doesn't do a damn thing.
Face gets savagely ripped off. Also, one of my favorite shots of the film is where Keanu takes out his little two-way mirror to look inside the house, and you get a rolling shot of what we see versus what he can see.
Yeah.
I thought that I liked that flourish.
So after we realized, that's when Tom Sizemore pops up and says, "You idiots, I was undercover DEA working these fools. They're running drugs and weapons. They aren't involved in this bank robbery shit." So that's when Keanu knows, like, oh, damn. So then
and then perfectly points out, like, you didn't do your research, the dates that these last banks were. These people were all over here. Like, yeah, y'all didn't check any of that. You're stupid.
Yeah. So this is where things turn, because he's at the beach with Lori Petty. Keanu's at the beach with Lori Petty and Patrick Swayze and his crew, and he's watching them surf and I guess contemplating his decisions. And one of the guys pulls his pants down, or his, what do you call that thing? Wetsuit. Mm-hmm. He pulls his wetsuit down to show his ass, and that's when Keanu is like, "Oh my God,
the derriere."
I feel it in the air. No. That these guys are responsible. And then also we get a call back to someone saying that they're like ghosts.
That's what Gary Busey says, talking about the ex-president. And then Lori Petty says something similar about the surfers.
I thought that was kind of whack. That it's those small cues that make him go, aha.
Well, at least he had an epiphany. I don't know.
So then we cut to Gary Busey and Keanu Reeves staking out a bank. And the bank robbers show up, but they miss it because I thought this was a joke. Because Gary Busey tells Keanu Reeves, can you go to that sandwich shop around the corner and get me 2 meatball subs? And so I'm like, oh, he's trying to distract him to do something. No, this man wanted to eat 2 meatball subs. So while Keanu's doing that, it was a really cool shot that while Keanu's picking up the sandwiches, he ordered tuna for himself.
Tuna on wheat or something like
that. Well, that made me, I'm hungry right now, but you know, I like a good tuna sandwich. Anyway, you see the bank robbers pull up behind Keanu. That was a really good shot.
That was a good shot. He brings the meatball subs back to the car, and Gary Busey starts wolfing it down. Yeah, I do think Gary Busey is one of the strong points of this film, but what's his name? Script W. Peter Iliff. He gives him so many lines of dialogue that are stupid. Like he has a line earlier about like, she was like a virgin on the night of the prom. She disappeared. And he says something about he was so hungry he should have gotten 3 of those because he could suck something out of a rhino's asshole or something. But I will say nothing is more disappointing than when you are starving and you are about to take a bite of a kind of food that you really love and then get interrupted. Because Gary Busey is full on. He's eating that meatball sub and then, bank robbery.
The bank robbery occurs. Keanu like there's a full-on chase in cars and then on foot that ends with a gas station being lit on fire. I thought that was all really well done.
The masks work quite effectively. Is it the Jimmy Carter mask is terrifying on that person?
That's the worst one.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
So Patrick Swayze's in the Reagan mask, and they all do kind of the presidential impressions, which I thought were funny. But I think the best scene is that foot chase scene.
It is, but I hated the ending because Keanu catches up to Reagan, which is Patrick Swayze, and certainly Keanu knows who it is. Like we know that he knows, and he has the chance to shoot him, but he lets Reagan go. That frustrated me so much because this is like the film is winding down, and I felt like I didn't get that connection of why Keanu would let Patrick Swayze go.
Love, man. I don't know either. The chance to touch again, I don't know.
2 different characters tell Keanu Reeves, you're not acting like yourself. And I thought, how could they tell? Because he only has one demeanor. He only has one affect.
Like what
how could you know that he's not being himself?
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Oh God, that bank robbery. Because now that Patrick Swayze knows that Keanu's FBI, but he's not quite sure that Keanu knows that he's the bank robber, he shows up to Keanu's apartment the next day and is like, hey girl, let's go on an adventure. And Keanu's like, okay, let's go. And they get to like an airplane, and then he gets in the plane, and then they give him a parachute, and I just can't believe that he let it go that far.
And then there's some weirdness about like, oh no, you don't want that parachute. You want this one. Wink, wink. I'm like, oh, they're going to kill me. That's what I would think.
Well, then they play like Russian roulette with the parachute. So of course you're like, oh, they're going to give him a parachute that doesn't pull. But like I already said, they are really just going skydiving and they all land safely. But that's when Patrick Swayze's like, I need some insurance. So I need you to watch this video.
He's like, I got something to show you.
I got something to show you. And it's Lori Petty being held hostage.
The little contraption they show it on, it's like, oh, the things you had to go through in the 90s to make those things happen.
I also don't understand, what is this connection Keanu has with Lori Petty? Like, we only see them in bed, like, what, that really cool shot.
Yeah.
And then they go surfing a couple times, and now you're hopelessly devoted to her, such that you won't turn in these bad guys.
It's the moment after he finally surfs and he rides a wave and he's kind of breathless and he's like, I don't have the words to describe what I'm feeling. And she goes, you don't have to. And then that's when he's like, come on over here, girl. Like, so she was the reward as he was riding the high, and that's when they fell asleep on the beach. But it's like, but they continue to do so. I don't know what's so alluring about her. Yeah. And then of course there's all these callbacks to how she used to sleep around with Bodhi, and they go to this party, and that's where they find that they give Lori Petty some volume to her hair and some makeup. And Patrick Swayze's making out with some woman, and she's got a lime in her mouth, and he takes a tequila shot and then sucks the rind of the lime. And Lori Petty goes, I taught him how to do that. That's not really that much of a trick, I think.
After that, so then Keanu Reeves is forced to rob a bank with Patrick Swayze and his people without a mask and with a gun with no bullets, because I guess that's like blackmail. But it's like, who would believe that this FBI agent robbed this bank on his own volition? And then sure enough, based on the ending, he was not in trouble for it. But after that bank robbery, of course, the FBI director Harp shows up. And then we find out that he's arguing with Gary Busey, and we're supposed to believe that Gary Busey is significantly older than Harp. They look the same age to me. So I thought that was weird.
Well, and then Gary Busey punches him out. It's like, now I know you can get away with some things in law enforcement, but
he also convinces his boss to let him drive Keanu to jail or something. But instead they go to catch Patrick Swayze. They go to like the airstrip to catch the plane. And then once again, Keanu's devotion to Patrick Swayze causes Gary Busey to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy to me, because Keanu had the chance to shoot Patrick Swayze, but instead he was stalling, and then Gary Busey ended up getting shot as a result.
Mm-hmm.
That bothered me so much.
But by far the most ridiculous is how Keanu decides to his last two attempts going after Patrick Swayze are mind-bogglingly stupid.
Okay, the first one is they're both on a plane. Patrick Swayze forces Keanu to get on the plane with him. And then Patrick's plan is to jump out of the plane with a parachute and leave Keanu in the plane. So Patrick jumps out the plane. And what does Keanu do? Jump out after him without a parachute.
Just a gun.
That was too much for me to handle.
And he catches
I still haven't recovered.
And there are a few beats before he does so. And he catches up with Patrick.
And still refuses to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
So they both land.
He has to throw his gun away to pull the ripcord. Yeah.
And then he lets him go if he agrees. Keanu lets Patrick go if he agrees to bring back Lori Petty. So they bring back Lori Petty. And she's in her little white slip running to him. The way she was running to him was like they were, I don't know. I didn't get any of these people's connections.
She was giving me Andrew McCarthy in Weekend at Bernie's for some reason.
So then we flash forward a little bit, and Keanu's in Australia. He's found Patrick Swayze. And we find out that he's flown to Mexico, to Fiji, now in Australia, trying to find Patrick Swayze. And I just thought, like, taxpayers are paying for this. That really bothered me.
Well, then he threw away his badge and it's like, I'm pretty sure the agency paid for your trip back to the U.S.
Well, he lets him go.
Yes.
And tells him, who says what? Via con Dios? Who says that?
Via con Dios.
Oh, yeah.
Keanu Reeves says it just kind of like that. Like, okay. And then I think we stopped to take footage of the police officer that is screaming on the beach. What does he say? Like, we'll get him when he comes back.
Oh.
And Keanu says, he's not coming back. Bad.
I know people are mad because they love this movie, but I enjoyed watching it.
Oh, I enjoy it. It's cheesy as hell. I don't think it's a good movie.
It's very well made. The cinematography, it's a well-made film.
I think the real star is probably Donald Peterman's cinematography because it looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the gas station scene where he lights the gun on fire to there's some, dare I say, even breathtaking moments cinematographically, but not this script is wretched. And the casting is extremely questionable all around.
I don't know what else to say. I would watch this again, like if it were at a cute theater and they were having a theme night where they're serving like beach cocktails and shrimp and rice or something, and Keanu Reeves is going to talk about it, and I was invited, I would go.
All of those things.
All those days would be a play. I would go, not like next week, but maybe like in a year. Because it was fun to watch because I was screaming at the screen.
It's dumb.
But it's dumb as hell.
It's dumb fun. Because the remake from 2015 takes itself, and I only saw that once when it came out, and I remember them being really weird with press screenings for that film, but it's boring and dumb. This at least is, you know, there's some charming people in it. I think Patrick Swayze is quite lovely. I like watching him. I like Keanu too, but sometimes it's frustrating. You know, sometimes he's really ruinous, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, for instance. Like, ugh.
It's just his acting is not where it needs to be.
Yes.
I mean, or not well directed.
But it's crazy to think, I think he's quite good in My Own Private Idaho, which is a year after this, Gus Van Sant.
What would you give the 1991 film Point Break?
You know, I think I was at a 3 for most of it, but that end is so dumb to me. And it's getting a 2.5 from me.
It's too dumb. It's just too dumb. I'm giving it 2 out of 5. It's just too dumb. But it was fun to watch.
It makes me want to rewatch Strange Days. I haven't seen Near Dark in forever. Kathryn Bigelow's got a new film coming out this year. I think Point Break is, to me, her worst film is Detroit, to be honest. Like, that felt very, like, we were going through some white guilt in the way how some of that was approached, even though the subject matter is important, but I don't think that she should have been the director of that movie. But I like her.
I'm going to go through the notes. Today is 4th of July. Hello, New York. I've never met anyone with the last name Utah.
Same.
I've never met anyone with the last name Vandross.
But I know someone.
Weird coincidence, since I just watched Anne of 1,000 Days, where Catherine of Aragon was played by Irene Pappas.
Oh, yeah. That's Richard Burton as Henry VIII and Genevieve Bouviol as Anne, the poor doomed Anne.
People are so excited for that Dave Franco movie Together.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the trailer is very intriguing, and I really wanted to live up to my expectations.
You know, there's a lawsuit against that film for being similar to another recent, I forget the title of it, some indie film. I need to look that up because I wanted to watch that before we see the press screening to see how similar it is. But yeah, I am interested.
I know people love this movie. It is fun to watch, so I can see why people like it.
Was it Kathryn Bigelow? No, because, you know, Kathryn Bigelow is credited with discovering Willem Dafoe, because isn't he in The Loveless? Was that her first film, The Loveless? In an excellent vampire film from '87 called Near Dark, before this, and Blue Steel.
Thank you, Joshua. R.I.P. Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
What are your favorite Swayze roles or movies?
Oh, Tu Wong Fu.
Oh, I forgot to mention, in the movie, someone mentions Patrick's Roadhouse,
mm-hmm.
which is funny because Patrick Swayze was in a movie called Roadhouse. I mean, of course, I love Tu Wong Fu.
Ghost, Dirty Dancing. Even I don't love Dirty Dancing.
I actually like everything I've seen Patrick Swayze in. I liked him in Roadhouse.
next of kin. And his brother, his brother still pops up and stuff. Oh, Donnie Darko. I think that's a supporting role, but he's a lot of fun in that.
Oh, it would be funny if these armed bank robberies were done so Bodhi could save the Beach Community Rec Center. Isn't that what I said? Like it would have been better if he was raising money to help house people who were sleeping on the beach or something.
Like Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. He's trying to build a community center.
Yeah, I still don't. I just don't get their connection. I just don't think the film does a good job of showing how these two people were so bonded that as an FBI agent, I wouldn't arrest a prolific bank robber.
What's that moment in the back of the van? I'm an FBI agent.
Thank you, BMCK. I don't remember the remake at all. I know I watched it.
You watched it with me. Yeah, it's infinitely worse. Yes. And I like Edgar Ramirez. Luke Bracey, who we saw in something else. I think I don't know what I think of him. He's kind of a blank slate in my head.
I got lost in the comments. Hold on.
Lost in the sauce.
It's not Lori Petty's fault. The character is pretty boring, especially in retrospect after Tank Girl and A League of Their Own. She's also in the opening of Poetic Justice.
With Billy Zane.
In a really odd, quirk. I think the opening of Poetic Justice is actually kind of inventive.
I think John Singleton's staying a lot with that scene because you have all of these black folks going to this movie that like it looks like a white erotic thriller because that's all that was available to them at the time. But it's interesting for sure, and a very memorable sequence. That reminds me though, like, so she's not boring. She was just drawn that way.
Is Paul Rudd a surfer and Forgetting Sarah Marshall? I've seen that movie 100 times because I used to work somewhere where they would play it on a loop, and I don't remember anything except John Segel or Jason Segel naked.
That was and I remember Russell Brand and Kristen Bell. I saw that once, but years after it was making waves, but I guess pun intended.
Apparently in the original script, the movie was about skateboarding. Really?
God. Gleaming the cube.
Like gleaming, yeah. Yet again, I'm here listening to them talk about a movie that I haven't seen and have no intention of watching. I mean, I do think it's like it could be fun if you're in like a silly mood.
Yeah, but I remember my dad clowning this film so hard for a long time.
Oh God, when Keanu Reeves decides to not shoot, like he decides to let Patrick Swayze in the Reagan mask go, and then he's like shooting his gun in the air, like he's so angry. He's
unloading his gun, his frustration. I think there are things you can read into. It just seems like it's not a film that's really worth that.
Patrick Swayze is dreamy.
What did you say that hair he has is really popular right now?
Well, his hairdo, like that style, I feel like you see a lot of ladies in Silver Lake rocking that haircut. Yeah, his hair looks great. Oh, I need to watch Strange Days.
Angela Bassett's good in that. And I like Julia Lewis, Ray Fiennes, but that it's long, but that's a better Kathryn Bigelow film for sure.
Hello to Shirley. Nick's eyes are popping. Thank you, Jack. If you had to sleep with one or the other, who would it be? Keanu Reeves or Patrick Swayze? Please be honest. Have a good day and thank you. I'm going to HR with that comment.
I don't know. I mean, they both seem like they'd be attentive to your needs, though. Because what's that clip of Keanu Reeves on that wretched Drew Barrymore show where she asked if he's a lover or a fighter, and he said he's a fighter because if you don't, what's love worth if you can't fight for it or something?
Okay.
They both seem sweet. I don't know. Maybe Patrick has the edge.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You plead the fifth.
I mean, I don't. If I had to. I mean, being forced to have sex doesn't sound appealing.
That's right. I would fail.
Yeah. I mean, who do I think is more attractive? Probably Keanu Reeves, but I think Patrick Swayze would probably better suit my needs, maybe.
We'd have to check the vibe. Vibes are important.
Are we going to review Weapons?
Yes.
And The Long Walk? I don't know what those are.
Weapons is the next film from the director of... why is my mind blanking? Barbarian, who we met.
Who? What?
The director of Barbarian.
Oh, yes.
We met him when I brought you to Killers of the Flower Moon. He was in line. And Weapon. And the Long Walk, of course. Joseph's a Glenn Powell fan. And I read that in high school.
I'm a Glenn Powell fan?
Yeah, aren't you?
I like the movie The Hitman.
Okay. Well, he's in a Stephen King, or dare I say Richard Bachman adaptation that's coming out. I'm forgetting who directed that, though. Somebody I think I like. Anyway.
Strange Days is on my podcast secret movie list, but I
haven't seen that in years.
Something else always beats it.
But Angela's pretty badass in that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but Don Swayze did a movie with Corey Feldman called Edge of Honor. That sounds intriguing.
Don Swayze, who looks eerily like his brother. What's that Don Swayze's in Shy People with Barbara Hershey and Jill Clayburgh, a Konchalovsky film from, I think, 87. one of Barbara's Cannes Best Actress wins. That movie is odd, and Martha Plimpton, that's worth watching.
Someone got to play Anne of 1,000 Days in high school.
Oh, Anne Boleyn. Who did it? Is that Jarrett? Is that the director of that movie? He did Mary Queen of Scots as well.
Do you think an AMC A-list is worth it? Well, I don't pay to go see movies, but if I did and I could get a discount, yeah.
Yeah.
So
sure.
If you go
often, yeah, because tickets are expensive. I mean, every now and then, because we'll miss, schedule wise, we'll miss something. But
people who usually recognize, well, I've met a lot of people who, like, they'll say hi to me and then they work at AMC, and so then usually I'm like, oh, like talking about the movie theater, because that's the only thing people want to talk to me about. So I've had many people explain to me that it is a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last time I was at the Bullet, some young man was telling me about, he worked at AMC and was telling me about particularly like concessions, and I don't know, but it sounds like it's worth it.
Grandview USA. I remember my mother watching that, and somebody else my mom liked was in that with Patrick and Jamie Lee Curtis. I want to say it's like a Chad Everett or something, but I know of that film. I haven't seen it.
Someone thought I would hate Patrick's hair. I mean, I don't love it, but it does. I mean, he looks good.
I think he looks good in it.
Yeah. Why don't we review Hollywood? Why don't we review Hollywood movies? Like, I think that's all we do. They meant Bollywood.
Well, depends on the
them release. Things are long as hell.
That's true.
When I see 3.5 hours, no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We did one
with singing.
RRR. Oh no, we did the one on the train, right?
That's not Bollywood.
Oh, that's not Bollywood.
No, Bollywood's very specific. Well, yeah, that's not.
Well, that
was called Kill, I believe, not Bollywood.
99% of the movies we review, you get emails from publicists. So there are no publicists, like, right? I don't see any emails like
for Bollywood films.
Yeah, the publicists who are reaching out are like for the movies that we're reviewing.
Yeah, it's not on purpose. It's not a slight.
No. Will we review Superman?
Yeah, we're seeing it on Tuesday. Not actually excited for that, but yes.
I don't even know what Don Swayze looks like.
You do.
What is the worst hair of the year? I'd have to look at my worst hair list.
Are we covering Eddington? Yes, I already saw it in Cannes, and I have a review up, but then Joseph and I are seeing it together next week.
Oh, there you go. AMC membership is a good deal if you plan on going to the movies at least 3 times a month. Yeah. Thank you, Dasha. Have you seen To Write Love on Her Arms?
No. It premiered at the Omaha Film Festival.
Oh, are you shading the Omaha Film Festival?
No.
I know who Rupert Friend is because of Jurassic World Rebirth.
And you've seen him many times. Asteroid City recently.
I don't know who Kat Dennings is.
You do. I don't care for Kat Dennings. She reminds me of a girl that lived in a place.
What if Dasha, that's her hand? What if Dasha Barnes is Kat Dennings?
Dasha, I would say your name Daisha, but
Daisha Barnes?
Because I had a friend named Daisha in college. But Kat Dennings, she was in that awful TV series, Two Girls, and something about 2 girls. And then I hated Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and she's in the Thor movie. Oh God. She's the plucky comic relief or the cynical comic. I don't like her. I don't.
Wow.
Anyway,
I'm sure that's not what
I wouldn't avoid watching a movie
was
for
looking
her.
for.
But I don't like Kat Dennings.
Someone watched Hereditary last night. Your thoughts? I always think about that the interesting looking girl who gets her block knocked off, and then Toni Collette crying.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I recall really enjoying that movie.
Fantastic Four. Well, I'm just grateful I don't have to watch another one with Jessica Alba. So yes. And Pedro is a nice addition, I guess.
Am I excited for Superman?
I've seen too many already.
Well, the man who's playing Superman, didn't I say before I knew who he was? I said, oh, that like
Yes, you
years
did.
ago, I'm like, oh, that man looks like Superman. And then you're like, oh, people were saying in the comments, he's going to be Superman.
But all of the ads I see around in LA everywhere, it looks like it's for TV.
Well, on those clips that got put out, that the director had to come back and say, like the one of Superman flying, the director had to say, oh, we're not putting that in the film. And the one with the dog, I don't know. I mean, I'm not excited to do anything, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Superman movie.
I mean, I don't go into anything thinking I'm going to hate it. I will go into things with very low expectations based on, you know, my own emotional baggage for who I know made it or who's in it. But if I am pleasantly surprised, I will freely admit that I'm impressed.
Are you familiar with Reflect in a Dead Diamond?
Yeah, Reflection in a Dead Diamond.
Oh, Reflection?
Yeah, that's from Helene Catet and Bruno Forzani, a married Belgian couple. I've liked all three of their features. I reviewed that out of Berlin this year. They're very much style over substance, of course, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Would we make a YouTube review for it? I don't know.
Yeah, when it comes out. But yeah, that was Berlin, not Cannes.
Kat Dennings is my cousin. Just kidding.
That's right. She is doing a show with Tim Allen.
Nick going off. Thank you, BMCK.
Kat Dennings reminds me of a young woman when I was in college that she had very much had a similar attitude and held herself in a lot of the same ways. And that person drove me crazy. She also loved the Gilmore Girls. That drove me crazy too.
Are we going to review the Jane Mansfield documentary?
Isn't it from her daughter? Did what's her name direct it? Because isn't it like it's called like To My Mother or something?
No, isn't her daughter very famous?
Mariska Hargitay.
Yeah, I saw something about. Someone
used to live by Mickey Hargitay's nursery over on Fountain too.
Someone posted that it was a very good documentary.
Yeah, I mean, Jane is interesting. I've had
first I want to watch a Jane Mansfield movie.
I've had The Girl Can't Help It right there for many a moon to watch.
So you're acknowledging that you don't clear off your desk in a timely manner?
No, I do. I have stacks that go to different places that need to be reshelved. Anyway. It's fine.
Thank you, Dave himself. Benny Ford just bought tickets to Eddington on the 17th.
I won't say anything more at this time.
Well, you already said enough about that movie. And which film festival did you see?
Cannes.
Yeah, don't watch the Cannes.
Best and worst.
Well, someone who recognized me at the gym was like, oh, I'm so excited to see The Materialist or Materialist. I haven't watched your review yet. I said, don't watch it. I'm not excited to do anything.
Kat Dennings and Superman. Well, I mean, I can overlook. There's always a fly in the ointment, right?
To request a film on Patreon, there's a tier that will allow you to do that. So if you have questions, you can message us on Patreon.
I have never seen Q&A with Nick Nolte, and I love Sidney Lumet. But you had Q&A on your list of potential secret films for the podcast.
I did?
You did, because you kept wondering why you put it on there.
Yeah, well, why did I?
I don't know. It was your list. But no, I've never seen Q&A, and I should.
Will we be reviewing Honey Don't with Margaret Qualley?
Probably. That's the new Ethan Coen.
Oh.
That my very last night in Cannes, that was the midnight screening, and I had a ticket. And then at like 10 o'clock, I'm like, I'm not going to another movie. I'm not going to watch that at midnight.
This is not a green screen behind us. I don't know why. I don't know why the background's blurry. I try to do research. I don't want it to be blurry.
He just showed you foreign correspondent for proof of life.
Yes, these are real. These are all criterion.
Yes,
that I have to live with. Yeah, I don't understand why the background looks like this. So
research.
I did. I asked ChatGPT, and
they said
it could be my playback speed. Like, so I went to the settings, and it says that if I do it's like playback latency, which then makes the comments slower. like people can't comment in real time.
Oh,
But I changed it and it still looks blurry. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it does help make us the focus versus the background.
that's right.
So I don't hate it, but I don't like that I can't change it.
I considered watching Big Wednesday today. I actually have that on Blu-ray.
Are we seeing fireworks? No.
No, I don't want to hear them. Not in the mood to celebrate anything about things right now. But yeah, no. The latest Lilo and Stitch. You were not. It was because a film festival disrupted that week of screening. So, yeah.
We reviewed didn't we review a Japanese animated film recently?
Spirited Away.
We reviewed Spirited Away on our Patreon.
Was somebody accusing you? Us?
No, they said any chance of you reviewing Japanese animated movies like Akira or Miyazaki films. What is a Miyazaki film?
Well, Hayao Miyazaki made Spirited Away.
Yes, we did a Miyazaki film. I'm not a fan of cartoons, and I say it all the time, but every time I watch a cartoon, I think it's good. So I don't know why I won't watch them.
It's animated films. Cartoon sounds demeaning. Miyazaki, we have a review out there for The Boy and the Heron, but only I watched it. He did not. But
for some reason, I just can't bring myself. But then every time I'm forced to do it, you usually
like it.
I usually like them. So yeah, I don't know why.
I made you watch Belladonna of Sadness. You're like, I don't know. I'm in a bad mood. I don't know why you made me watch this.
Have we reviewed Ari Aster's first short film? We did talk about it in a video somewhere a long time ago, and people were so mad that we found it like
fun,
amusing.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's
because the subject matter is obviously taboo, but then it's like that's the purpose. Like this person's making something to like. I feel like it's to shock and to conversation and
yeah, it's a provocation.
It's provocative. But would y'all do a review of 90s shows like Dawson's Creek? Oh, there'd be a significant fee associated with me sitting.
Significant.
It'd be significant.
Dawson's Creek also reminds me of people I could not stand in high school and college.
Well, first of all, like that would take up so much time.
Yes.
And then who's gonna like what money am I gonna make from like yeah. There'd be a significant fee for me to sit down and watch Dawson's Creek. Although, is that guy on there?
James Vanderbeek?
Scott Kelly? Who's in Dawson's Creek?
White Michelle Williams.
Is Jennifer Love Hewitt in it? Am I thinking of Party of Five?
Party of Five.
I didn't watch those things. I don't even know what year Dawson's
Isn't Katie Holmes is Dawson's Creek, right? Yeah.
What? What is the time frame of Dawson's Creek?
Would
that have interfered with me watching Martin and Living Single? And
no, okay. It's after that.
Oh, this is when I was already like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't watching TV.
I wasn't watching teeny
Not because I was like bougie. It was just like I was.
No, those are the years I was watching like The Sopranos and 6 Feet Under because my parents were obsessed with HBO and it was what I didn't watch. What I watched in secret was like Queer as Folk. And
well, I was a poor college student from 96 to 2000. So I damn sure didn't have like cable TV or I didn't even have TV. So between going to school, working 3 part-time jobs, and then running around doing raggedy shit, like there was no time for me to watch. So television starting from like the late 90s and then as an adult, like in my 30s, I don't think I've watched one television show.
That's not true. You loved House of Cards.
That's not TV though.
Oh, okay. Network.
But like, yeah, I've watched some series like House of Cards and other things, but like we have TV, like we could watch TV, and I've never watched like to just put on like ABC, CBS, primetime. Like I haven't done that in decades.
With commercials? That reminds me though, speaking of TV on DVD, that wretched roommate, Kat Dennings, I'll just call her that, who loved Gilmore Girls, had every episode of Friends on DVD. And I can't stand that show either. And she would watch that shit all the time. And then dare to say, when I would watch Alfred Hitchcock, maybe you should find something else to do.
What do I think of $35 popcorn buckets? I mean,
what do you feel? Like I'm not buying it?
if that's how people want to spend their money, I mean, work, you know, like, I wouldn't spend $35 on a popcorn bucket. But in fact, we've been given those buckets before.
Those are the ones that are tied into merch with the film. Right?
And I just threw it away. Like, what am I going to do with this?
Sell it on eBay?
But I'm not the type to keep tchotchkes or keepsakes. I don't like a lot of things to begin with. So to buy like a commemorative, that's on the same lot. Like that's like buying, remember in the 90s, the infomercials for like commemorative plates and spoons, coins. That's all the same to me. Like, I don't so are you going to pass down your Dune popcorn bucket that looks like a toothy vagina to your grandchildren? Like, what is this? And like
vagina dentata.
Also, like walking into someone's home and it's like,
my grandma collected.
Why does it look like a 16-year-old lives in this house?
My grandma collected those spoons, those little spoons. She would polish them. She also liked plastic grapes for some reason as a decorative item. So there'd be clusters of plastic grapes all over.
My mom collected rooster things.
And your sister likes frogs.
My sister likes frogs. And then my mom went through a phase of collecting like teapots. And then we had a house where like a big section, it was a big house and a big section of like the kitchen, the breakfast nook, like there was like I don't know, like a sitting room that was separate from like the living room, dining room, all that. But it had like the ceiling had like built-in shelving all around. Mm-hmm. That lady had like hundreds of teapots. Maybe that's why my mom is very neat and clean, but she has a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I think as an adult, I just don't want anything. My dream would be like I could pack all of my belongings in my car if I had to. That would be, I'd have like one pair of pants, 2 shirts, shorts, 2 pairs of shoes, a computer, a toiletry bag. That would be the dream. But alas, here we are.
Exactly.
Oh, we're so patriotic with our red shirt, white shirt, blue steel.
You ever seen Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis as the cop?
Oh, I thought that was a Zoolander reference.
That also is a Zoolander reference.
Oh, there's a Jamie Lee Curtis like crime thriller called Blue Steel?
Directed by Kathryn Bigelow. That was right before Point Break.
So does that mean the shirtless actor from the movie you are reviewing is behind you, also not a blue screenshot? Oh. All of our YouTube videos were sitting in front of a green screen. Mm-hmm. And if I knew how to take better video and do better editing, it might look better, but here we are. Any thoughts on the recent season of Drag Race All-Stars? I agree. It feels much more produced than usual, especially like some of the decisions that were made.
Every single panel has somebody I absolutely can't stand.
I like the format though for the queens because they don't have to spend all this money and prep. Yeah. They only have to be ready for 3 episodes, and then if they can go. So for them, I like that. And for us, we get more queens. And I do think it's a little, it's very produced, right? Because they're not all getting the same types of challenges. So It's not equivalent. So then in the end, it's like, well, perhaps someone else might have won had they all done the same challenges, but they know what they're getting into.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just trying to, keep their light shining, right? Because there are so many queens now that once your season's done, people forget about you. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that there's a vehicle there for them to.
I am too, especially now. But yeah, it's become its own little well-tuned machine, hasn't it?
But Monet Exchange just interviewed Wayne Brady, and he's a big fan of drag because he played old girl in Kinky Boots on Broadway. Mm-hmm. But he made a good point that drag queens so many of them are so well-rounded, right? They can sing, dance, act. It's it's a shame that they don't get more opportunities beyond. I mean, really, it's Drag Race.
Well, right, yeah. And
If they don't create their own like podcasts and like no one is hiring drag queens.
It's hard because you're tied to it forever. But that like fame and celebrity never really has anything to do with talent. I mean, we saw a play last night, and all three of the people in that play could sing better than any current pop star that's got something in the top 40 right now.
Well, I've always thought that, like, if you go to a Broadway show, it's like those people are so talented, and then you think about the people who are actually popular, and they couldn't do a fraction of what those kind of performers can do. But
well, even the lyrical content of what they were singing, like we had breakfast this morning, and it's like to be held captive to something by Taylor Swift, and it's like these lyrics, no.
What movie do you have the highest expectation for? Like upcoming? Oh, I don't know.
Probably.
Didn't we watch Magazine Dreams?
Yeah, we reviewed that. I liked it. I do have high expectations for the new P.T. Anderson, and that's the next book I'm reading because it's based on Pynchon, but mostly because it's Anderson, and also that poster art of Tiana Taylor with her pregnant belly and the gun. I like it.
Yes, R.I.P. to Michael Madsen.
Yes,
that's a clue to what our secret film will be for the podcast on Sunday.
His loss will be reflected, yes.
Yeah. The other day, someone forgot their Taylor Swift Eras Tour popcorn bucket, and I took it and kept it. Now I want to go trick-or-treating with it.
Yes, put that to good use.
Oh, God, how much did that cost? Those beverages at concerts, like someone was complaining to me about the Beyonce concert, and like a cocktail, like a drink was like $33, like a vodka soda, like just a rail vodka soda.
Nope.
And of course, that's not her. She's not charging that. It's the venue, but still, like, ugh.
At least at the bowl, at the Hollywood Bowl.
What do you think of bringing outside food to the movie theater? I think it's fine because the movie theater doesn't have if they had a better menu.
They don't meet my needs.
But they don't meet my needs. Like, so I bring food into the theater. No, I'm not bringing in aluminum foil or
Chipotle.
Well, I have done that, but it's also not like it's a press screening. So to me, it's like, well, I'm kind of here because I'm supposed to,
it's work.
It's kind of like work, and then the way, like, they're usually scheduled at times that are like right as you would be having dinner.
It's work, and I want my matcha flavored Kit Kats.
So yeah, I'll bring food in there. I try not to bring things that are like really loud, disturbing or smelly. Like, I'm not gonna bring in my salmon and broccoli.
There's smelly food in there now. Like, you can get like those flatbread pizzas and chicken tenders, and
I don't want to eat the movie theater food. Now, if we go to we rarely pay to see a movie, so we rarely go at odd hours. But like if we go, like we're seeing something next week early, like on Thursday at 4:00. So then it's like, well, I wouldn't bring food because the movie will be done early enough so we can go have dinner afterwards.
Oh, I know what you did last summer.
Yeah. Or but sometimes like these screenings at 7:00. It's like, well, it's kind of early to eat before. And
need my feeding bag. That's prime time eating there.
Yes, minimalism is where it's at. Now, I will say, though, the people who bring I'm not going to go on a rant about food in the theater.
I have seen Out of the Blue. I saw Out of the Blue. Dennis Hopper, I think that's his second film with that little girl. I remember seeing that at the Cine Family, which is something else now, when it was restored, like probably 2013.
Do we watch Love Island? No. I don't even know what that is. I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know.
Reality show.
I'm sure it's a dating show, but I don't know. Like, is there a host or? I like trash TV, but the problem is if I watch it, like I get sucked in, and then it's like, oh, I just spent 6 hours on a Saturday watching The Circle. Like, it's
What was the thing you were watching with Tosh? Daniel Tosh?
Oh, he had that reality show on Amazon Prime where it was like reality TV stars competing. What was it called? See, I like Daniel Tosh.
I do too, but
that sucked me in. It was so stupid. Alyssa Edwards was in it. And
yeah, that was a waste of everyone's time, I think.
it is I do feel like I wasted hours watching it. Well, that came on weekly, so I didn't watch it all at once, but have you ever met anybody from Drag Race? Oh, yes.
Yep. Many people.
Many. Is Aggie the cat going to flip out over the fireworks, or is she medicated?
She's fine.
Well, our house is pretty quiet.
Yeah. The energy already, because usually leading up to July 4th, and we've lived many places in LA, you usually hear many fireworks in the nights leading up to the 4th, and that has not been so this year because of, many reasons we can survive.
Well, our area is less. People still will. You're not supposed to light fireworks where we live, but people still do.
Yeah. But
it's not as bad.
But our cat is fine.
But yeah, there's enough space for her to bury herself somewhere. Our windows are never open.
No, she lives in a beautiful prison. She's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ginger Minge will probably win.
It's about time.
Okay. Oh, we're way past an hour. I need to eat. Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs. What's the other movie he's in?
Well, any Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No, is it The Hateful Eight?
Hateful Eight he's in. You've never seen that, huh?
Is that with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
I saw it with you.
Nope. You didn't go to that press screening. I saw that press screening at the DGA the year that came out.
Is Terrence Howard in it?
No.
Sam Jackson.
Sammy Jackson's very good in it. Bruce Dern, Channing Tatum, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Maybe you watched it. That's the one where she gets constantly beat up. And the Morricone score for that is so good, but that's not my favorite by far Tarantino film.
Do you think cinema will survive with AI?
Yeah. People always are going to want to tell stories and consume stories. And we'll eventually get better at deducing. I think that we're going to get better at deducing what's human rights versus AI based on error. Because I think AI will advance beyond us as we predicted forever, and then we'll be telling each other coded messages through grammatical and things that aren't grammatically correct.
The eating in the theater is controversial. I think. Well, how is your space? How are you affecting someone else's space? You have to be polite. Well, here's my thing. So eating in church, well, they don't serve food in the chapel, but they serve food in the theater.
And that is my church.
But Alamo Draft House, where they properly serve you a plate of food, I wouldn't bring food there because I can order a chicken salad or they have a menu and people are bringing food to you. But yeah, I don't think it's weird to eat food in a place where they're selling food so I can't bring my hams, or I wouldn't have a ham sandwich, but whatever. I can't bring my turkey sandwich, but then the person next to me is eating sliders and chicken wings that they bought from the theater. Mm-hmm. So, or people are shaking their hot tamales
well, it's about noise. It's about phone etiquette too. It's you are in a shared space with other people. Let's be cognizant of that, because something that drives me crazy, because at almost any theater everywhere, except for the ones Isabelle Huppert owns in Paris, they serve popcorn. People that don't chew with their mouths closed, eating that popcorn, that drives me wild.
Or it's what's worse to me is the people who throw all their trash on the floor.
That's rude and annoying.
So they buy the movie theater concessions and then just throw them on the floor. Mm-hmm. To me, that's worse than me bringing well,
it's piggy.
Yeah, like me bringing whatever,
but whatever. That's sure a reflection of other things in their lives. So,
what does that say? Have you watched? Oh, I was a big fan of The Real World. Yes. Well, of course, New York, LA, New Orleans, Miami was a big one for me. Yeah. I think I stopped at Vegas and then that was it.
And that was it.
And then I watched the revamps where they had them come back. I watched I think there were only 2. I watched those.
My favorite Tom Ripley. It's probably, I have the greatest emotional connection to The Talented Mr. Ripley, the Minghella version, but I do agree, like Renee Clement's Purple Noon is a better film, but I find Elaine Renee very cold, whereas like I can relate to Matt Damon's representation.
I don't know when I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean,
1997?
I haven't seen it with you.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
And then I watched the one with Brandy by myself.
I don't remember that movie at all, but I am going to watch it again before we see the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a secret movie. I don't know. Does our parasocial love creep y'all out? No.
No.
Well, because I have boundaries. I'll just straight up ignore things. I'm not going to.
And he does.
So, but I do think it's
is Lori Petty in? I was just thinking of Free Willy, of course, because Michael Madsen died, but I don't remember Lori Petty in that. But
someone's in Trinidad. Hey, are we doing anything today? I mean, this.
For the 4th, no. But maybe going out later. I don't know.
Well, you go out every Friday.
That's true. I do.
So, would I watch The Last of Us?
We watched the one gay episode, and I felt I had a feeling. I was like, we can't. It was like episode 3 of season 1, right? I'm like, it was kind of strange. I thought that we didn't watch the first 2 episodes, but I did like that one episode.
There would be a significant fee associated with me watching The Last of Us. I wouldn't just start that right now. Walton Goggins was in it. In what? Free Willy?
In Hateful Eight.
Oh.
Because he was I really don't like going to press tour or whatever, the press hullabaloo that goes with every movie, but my mother was such a huge fan of Kurt Russell. So I went to the Hateful Eight one at the Four Seasons, and the whole cast was there: Channing Tatum, Bruce Dern, Sam Jackson vaping. And I brought a bottle of Kurt's wine Gogi. But yeah, I otherwise don't.
We have several bottles of Kurt's wine, his Gogi brand. I don't want to drink them because they're not cheap.
Yeah, it feels like
I bet they're going to go rancid. We probably should. We'll celebrate. We'll open a bottle to celebrate something soon. Something good will happen soon. Do you know movie bitches are on YouTube? Do you guys know who movie bitches are on YouTube? Yes. They're the ones who do reviews drinking wine drunk.
Oh.
And the lady, she has brain cancer.
I'm sorry.
So they haven't been posting videos.
God damn.
Well, that's why you need to check yourself with these reactions you have immediately. But yeah.
Well, my memory is that them trashing the movie Vamps that did not deserve to be trashed thus.
But yeah, so she's currently going through chemotherapy. So well wishes to, because I will periodically check their channel to see, like, if there's a movie I want to watch, a review of theirs. And then I noticed that they hadn't posted in a long time. And then I went on their Instagram page and saw that she had been going through treatment. So,
well, that is terrible.
Yeah. So get well soon. But that's the crazy part about, because there are so many podcasts I listen to where they just like stop.
Yeah.
And then it's like such a weird feeling. Like I feel like I knew these people.
Yeah.
And then there's never an explanation. Like, why did you stop? Or I'll discover a podcast like years after, like not knowing that they didn't continue. And I never check the dates of when things are. Sometimes I'll get a clue based on what they're talking about. And then it's like, oh, this ended like 3 years ago. I'm never going to get any more. Yeah, it's not the price of the food that bothers me. It's just I'm not going to keep going about movie theater food. What was your favorite character of the real world? Well, what would I say about that?
You would know better than me.
Well, Dan Renzi was a favorite of mine from Miami.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's more to that story. What about Tammy Roman? I know she was on it.
Tammy blocked me on Instagram, so we're not friends anymore. Okay, well, we have to eat. Why do you think other movie reviewers don't do long reviews like yours?
You mean like duos? Because I find it weird, like talking on my own, it's always going to be shorter because there's not anyone to go off of, but I don't know.
Well, I think it's easier to talk more when you're talking to someone else.
It is, but I don't think we don't really have any time limits or, I mean, maybe more limits than if there's just nothing more to say, there's nothing more to say. But I think we just kind of organically talk until we're done talking.
Yeah, I think we're rarely short on words. Like, so I find it difficult to make videos that are under 20 minutes. It feels like I'm rushing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. But some people I watch are not that interesting, so it doesn't surprise me that they make these short ass videos. But no shade. Anyway, okay. Well, I hope people are safe. Do not light fireworks in your hands and then blow your fingers off.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Every year, the day after, my news feed, my local news feed is filled with people being injured.
And also, if you have neighbors and you think that you might hurt or ruin something that is theirs with your fireworks, you shouldn't do it either.
Yeah, like the fact that people are throwing flames in the air and then they just land in other people's yards. And if you park your car outside and then it's covered in soot. And
I mean, also in LA, we had terrible fires this year. Like, let's just, we don't need fireworks.
But be safe and all that. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Ta-ta.